Hey guys, it's Bailey and welcome back to the channel for what's going to be a review, complete with swatches, comparisons when it's relevant, of a collection I know we are all really freaking excited about. It's the BECCA and Jaclyn Hill Champagne Glow collection. Surprise to me, this collection landed in my mailbox. BECCA was kind enough to send it to me. I'm incredibly excited about it. I know a lot of people want to know, just want to kind of get a feel for what it's like before they actually go and buy, because as usual, you know, BECCA, the stuff isn't cheap, but when it comes to quality, BECCA pretty much nails it every time. So I wanted to go through some of this stuff, all of this stuff, and just let you know my thoughts. As I film this, the collection launches today, so I hope to get this up in time, like so it doesn't sell out. I think they're gonna have like a solid number of products out. I know the first round of this, when they did the launch party, I think Sephora had 10,000 units and they sold out in like 90 minutes, something crazy like that. So I hope this is up in time, but if not, if they restock, hopefully you find this video helpful. Let's go ahead and get inside. So first I'm going to talk about the items over here are standard BECCA products. They like already exist. The product lines themselves already exist. They're the Shimmering Skin Perfectors, and there are three different types. One is pressed. This one has, at first it launched, this was the original collab in Champagne Pop. It was a collaboration, it launched as limited edition, and then they brought it back permanently, but exclusive to Sephora. Since then, with this launch, they're now also launching a poured, so this is the cream version, and then they are also, along with that, launching the liquid, this guy. So they're all the same. They're all the exact same Champagne Glow shade. The difference is just the medium, and so I find that the poured, you get so much product in this. This is great for mixing in foundation. You'll see a demo here of me doing just that. If you have a matte or satin foundation that you just want to punch up a little bit for summer, a little of this goes a long way. Mix a tiny bit in there and it'll just give you this overall glow. The shimmer is ultra fine. It's not going to be, you know, the bam highlight on your face. It just adds a little bit of something extra. And because of the size, it's great for also doing the same thing to your body, whether it's your collarbones, if you want to put it on your shins to get that really like gorgeous for the summer, you know, like glowing legs. This is good for that too, just because you get so much, and liquid is a really easy medium to work in. I find that the poured version is a little bit more subtle. Once again, I think it's the most subtle of all three. So if you love the shade of Champagne Glow, which by the way, would probably be a good time to describe what they call it. I think they say it's a frosty white base with a peachy pink shimmer. Just off the top of my head, I can't find the press info they sent. Found it, yes. They call it a soft white gold with peachy pink undertones. And I've actually purchased the other highlight shades from the permanent BECCA collection, so I'll show a comparison between that and the other ones like Opal and the other ones that are out there, just so you can get a feel for how it compares against those. But bottom line is, I think the poured is easily the most subtle. You can build it up to get a solid glow, but I think it's most subtle, and I personally like to use it as like a highlight primer. I have applied it every time I've used the powder highlighters in this collection. I will apply the poured first, as to use it as kind of a base while it's still kind of not tacky, like it's not as sticky, it's very smooth, it dries down to a powder finish, but while it still is a little bit creamy, I will use that as a base for the highlight. So that's those. Now let's move into some of the brand spanking new items, like this eyeshadow palette. This is the Champagne Collection eyeshadow palette. There are 5 eyeshadows in here, full size. You get a pretty standard mirror. Right off the bat, for as much as I love the look, like the pattern on the packaging gets so dirty. It's just one of those that picks up every little fingerprint, every little dust particle. That's the one major downside to this, but besides that, beautiful, very solid feeling packaging. You open it up to find that you get 2 shimmers. One is this beautiful golden frosty white. One is called Champagne Toast, and a lot of people were asking how Champagne Toast compares to Champagne Pop, because technically this shade was one that was inspired by Champagne Pop. And you can see they're very similar. I'll swatch them side by side as well. Champagne Toast, as the name kind of suggests, it's like toasted. It's slightly more brown, a little bit more, just a little bit more pigmented than the actual highlight shade. I wouldn't use this as a highlight on my face. It's what I'm wearing on my eyes right now. And then you get 3 matte shades. You can do an entirely matte look, which is also something that I will show you in a demo. 3 matte shades. They are Cordial, which is this beautiful mauve that I'm wearing in my crease today. Cognac, which is more of a camel brown, and Bordeaux, which as you might suggest is kind of this deeper, kind of purpley red-based brown, but nothing too extreme, just really great to deepen up the outer corner. Overall, I wouldn't say, nothing gets too dark here. I definitely think this is a great everyday eye look. You can smoke it out if you want to use this deepest, darkest shade, but it's not like you have, you know, a matte black in here. So I do think it's going to lean more towards the lighter daytime looks. You can really amp it up with the shimmer for the night, but you aren't going to get a lot of deep dark looks out of this palette. If that's your thing, might not be for you, but it's beautiful, and I definitely think so. This retails for $40, and given the quality of the shadows, they're all very smooth. I've never tried BECCA eyeshadows before, but I'm very impressed with these. The texture's very smooth, the pigmentation is there, and just as far as a mixture, like a color palette goes, this is, I think, a staple palette that we can all get behind. Absolutely beautiful. Would recommend it if you are eyeballing this. Then on to what I think everybody else is most excited about. Maybe it's just me when I open this up. This is what I was most excited about. This is the Champagne Collection Face Palette, and this packaging I like more. It's not quite rubberized, but it just doesn't pick up, despite being white. First of all, the pattern's gorgeous. It's white, but because it's not metal, it's like this kind of plasticky rubberized exterior. It doesn't pick up or doesn't show the fingerprints and the dust and the dirt or the makeup and stuff like that, like the other palette does. So love that. Then you open it up, you get this nice big mirror. It's kind of like a clutch, actually. So the clasp looks like a clutch. Anywho, open it up, you get a really nice big mirror here, and then it's pretty much a complete face palette. You get 3 blushes. One is a luminous, and all of these, except for Champagne Pop right here, all of these are new and I believe exclusive to this palette. So you have a new luminous blush in Rosé Spritz, and I'll compare Rosé Spritz right here to some of the other luminous blushes. Like, it's definitely lighter, more peachy than Camellia, and yeah, it's lighter. It's just lighter than any of the other luminous blushes that they've launched recently. This is Snapdragon for reference. Then you get 2 mineral blushes. One is Amaretto. This is what I've been using kind of as a bronzer. It's a little bit too deep and pigmented for me to use as a bronzer all over. I think some people might get good use out of it as a bronzer or even a contour, but I've just been using it towards the backs of my cheekbones here to add a little bit of depth and chiseledness. So you can use it for that purpose as opposed to blush. And then you also get this bright pink over here, and this is Pamplemousse, which I hope I am saying correctly, but basically the mineral blushes, they have a slight satin finish, but comparatively speaking, like compared to the luminous blush, they're relatively matte. So that's really nice to have in there to contrast the extreme shimmer we have going on everywhere else, because then you get these 2 full-size highlighters. One is Champagne Glow, and a question when I first did that tutorial that a lot of people had was, is the quality of Champagne Glow in this palette the same as the single, like the one-off Champagne Glow highlighter? And I would say yes. It felt a little bit different in texture, but frankly, I mean, it doesn't function any differently. It still works just as beautifully, looks just as beautiful, is just as pigmented. I think it's the exact same. I don't think if you get this palette, you should still go run and get the individual highlight, unless you just want to have it to throw in your purse individually without taking the whole palette, because the quality is exactly the same. There's a slight texture difference, but not in quality at all. And then there's the highlight that I'm wearing today, this beautiful golden, and it's called Prosecco Pop. I love this. Love, love, love it. It's gold, but it's not a gold that's going to unflatter a lot of people. A lot of people, if you have like cooler undertones and you try and pull off this kind of warmer gold, it's just not gonna work quite as well with your skin tone, and I just don't find that's the case at all. I think it's going to be a very flattering gold for a wide variety of undertones. And just in general, this palette I think is going to flatter a lot of skin tones. It's the blushes are pigmented, the highlights are very pigmented, everything is great quality, and so as a result it's going to show up. They're very buildable, so you can either apply them lightly if you have fair skin tones and you're not looking for a blush that's like, you know, bam in your face, but at the same time, because they're buildable, you can really get that pigmentation going. If you have like medium deep skin tones, it's going to show up beautifully. So this retails for $52, I believe. Yes, $52, and given the amount of product you get, the quality of the product inside, how versatile this palette is, given that you have what is kind of a contour, you get your blushes covered, you get your highlights covered, it's really a full face in a palette. I think it's totally worth it. And given that a full size of the highlight retails for $38, this is just, you know what, less than 20 bucks, about there, bad math, a little bit more, and you get way more product, and great product at that. I would say I really recommend it. So there's not a bad review to be had, guys. I'm sorry. Really, the only thing I think that might turn people off is, you know, say you want the eyeshadow palette, or you were interested in the eyeshadow palette. I think that's the one thing just to be aware of, is nothing gets too deep in here. You're not going to get super dramatic looks out of this, but you are going to get a great mix of shimmer and matte, good for daytime. You can amp up the shimmer for night. I really like it. So just the one thing you should be aware of is the shade range. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this video was useful. I'd love to hear if you guys are trying to snag these things today or whenever it is you watch this video. Let me know. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye guys.